Hello.
Hello, welcome to Honeydew Me podcast. I'm Cass.
And I'm Emma, and this is our podcast about having sex and having boners is the first thing that came to my mind. But yeah, sure. Having boners, having orgasms, being single, being in relationships. It's kind of everything. And we're really cool.
Everything you've been looking for. So welcome. And this month we are just dead set on helping you have the sexiest summer you've ever fucking had. So you're welcome.
Fucking
for
welcome.
that. And we thought, what better way to do that than to like explore erotic massage?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So
I
that's
will
what we're
say,
talking about today.
I have tried to explore erotic massage in my past with a partner. It did not go well. At all.
Yeah.
He had a very specific idea of what he thought we were going to do. I did not have a specific idea, but I expected it to be less on display than he did. And
you were on display or he was on display?
No, I was on display. Like it was in the middle of the afternoon. He put a towel on my floor. So first of all, not the best position to give massages in, as we'll learn. And it was like my dog was there, so he kind of kept coming up, but the guy I was with like just wanted me completely naked. So it's just like, this is so awkward.
Oh my God.
It lasted like, I kept trying to put the towel on the ground and then my dog would run away with the towel, but I was nude and it was just too many things at once. It was not erotic.
Not the magical experience that our guest describes today.
No. No, I wouldn't say.
I've tried erotic massage one time. And I kind of tried it as like a role play because it was like the only type of role play I could really think of that I was like, I don't really have to be too much of a character to do that. But it didn't, I don't know.
It didn't pop off.
When I get nervous, it didn't pop off. Nothing popped off. Literally nothing. I was the giver in that situation. But when I don't know what to do, which we talk about in this episode as well, I get really nervous and then I just get silly, but not in like a fun, cute, sexy way, in like a I'm going to ruin this for everyone type of way.
I'm going to destroy this experience right now in the worst way.
I'm going to make you never want to do this again. And so it just wasn't the best. It wasn't an erotic experience and it wasn't a massage either. So really, we were left with nothing.
We were left with nothing. Well, that is not what you will be left with today with Barbara Carrellas. She is here to talk about erotic massage, how to give it, but also, most importantly, how to be the receiver of it. Receiving pleasure is a huge hurdle. I've experienced it. I'm sure many of you have as well. And this whole, like, while we will go over how to give a massage, it's really about how to enjoy pleasure and like feel into it. And I love that about this episode.
It's so beautiful. This is like a much more meaningful episode than we originally thought it would be. Like just going into it thinking like, yeah, just fucking put on some oil and go to town. It's just so much more than that. You'll definitely, yeah, I know. Shocking. You'll definitely want to go to our YouTube to see some of these moves demonstrated and just get a better idea of where she's touching on various body parts. But she does do a really good job of describing what she's doing as well. So if you're just listening, you're still going to get a lot out of this.
Just as much, but her puppets are really fucking cool and they move. So
they're really good.
I would really, also suggest looking around. Barbara is amazing and a badass and the coolest person ever. So I hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
See you on the other side. Bye.
Hi, I'm Barbara Carrellas. I'm the author of Urban Tantra, Sacred Sex for the 21st Century, and Ecstasy is Necessary and Luxurious Loving. I'm the founder of Urban Tantra, which is both a practice and an international community. And it's all about the intersection of sexuality and spirituality. It's all about conscious sexuality. And mostly it's all about permission and possibilities. I started my work during the AIDS crisis in the 1980s in New York, which is why I'm particularly excited to be talking to you about erotic massage, because the roots of the massage I'm going to talk to you about tonight had its roots in that community and was developed for some very specific purposes that have gone on to actually serve so many people from all walks of life and all backgrounds and all beliefs.
Wow. Well, that's wonderful. And I can't wait to dive into that part of erotic massage. Me sitting here thinking it was just something fun and silly. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming on this evening. And so I guess we can start with basically the definition. What is erotic massage?
For me, erotic massage is simply a massage that doesn't avoid nipples and genitals. It embraces all body parts. Then that's the broad definition of erotic massage. But within that very broad title, there are as many different ways to do it and reasons to do it as there are people who might want to do it.
Oh, vast.
Vast. Well,
What are some of sorry.
go.
You go
No,
ahead.
I just realized it's like when people say sex, they often mean penis and vagina sex. And that's what sex is. And everything else is foreplay or it's afterplay or it's something else, but it's not sex. And there are absolutely countless ways to be sexual, and they're all sex. And so is erotic massage, as we're going to see during this hour.
What are some of the benefits of erotic massage? Why is this something that we should start incorporating into our sexual toolkits?
That depends on you completely.
Okay.
For instance, during the AIDS crisis, we the massage that I'll be talking about tonight and showing you some of. Yes, people, you'll want to jump over to the YouTube channel later on to see the live demos. The massage that I'm talking about tonight was actually started by Joseph Kramer, who is the founder of Sexological Bodywork. I met Joseph and Annie Sprinkle in the 80s in New York at the New York Healing Circle. It was a support group for people with AIDS and the people who loved them. And as everybody either remembers or has heard, because HIV was a sexually transmitted infection among bloodborne, really, but everyone was afraid to have sex. Everybody in the gay community that we knew pretty much had gotten thrown out of the religion they were born into, and everybody was sick. It was some pretty hard time, and I know this all sounds really unsexy, but that's where it started. Because Joseph and Annie and I had the question, what are we going to do when people start having sex again and start passing this virus again? Because at that moment, everybody was too scared to have sex. Joseph was a body worker and also a breath work practitioner. Before that was a really popular thing. And he was studying Taoist sexuality, and he decided to try to come up with a way for, specifically at the time, gay men to have mind-blowing, emotion-releasing, spiritually connective, heart-centered sex without passing on a virus. And he came up with a kind of erotic massage that incorporated touch and breath work and genital touch and infinite presence, which is the secret to erotic massage. Infinite presence, which sometimes we don't employ when we're having sex with someone, whether it's
Right.
a stranger or whether it's somebody we've been with for a long time. So why do it? I have recommended erotic massage to people who are just simply bored with the sex they're having, people who have never really learned to receive or never really learned to give as fully as they'd like to, people starting out a relationship, people resurrecting a relationship, people who want to help a partner or a friend through perhaps a dark time or a healing time. It's great for people who need to receive because they're in a physical or emotional condition where they really can't be giving right now. So it's really the reason I find that it works in situations where other things don't. And it's really pretty magic, and it can be done in any style you like. That's the cool thing. So whether you're kinky as hell or extremely vanilla or super tantric or something else entirely, there's a style of erotic massage. You can adapt what I'm talking about tonight to your style.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That sounds really magical
It
and intimate, and all of the reasons, like you were saying, why this was created sound like all the benefits that we can reap if we're in relationships and we're using this type of massage. So I really can't wait to get into it. I really want to know what makes it so different from just touching genitals or just touching bodies. What makes this so magical and intimate and special?
Excellent question. The first thing is presence.
Mm-hmm.
Is learning by virtue of how it's done, and what you bring to your touch and what you bring to your breath, is inviting yourself to be 100% present, which means you need to be, if you're the giver, you need to be in a space where you can bring your whole self to the table to the extent that you are ready, willing, and able to offer a massage to the extent that you're physically capable, of course. That's totally for them. It's not about you. You are giving the person who's receiving your full attention. What you're getting back is the pleasure of giving. That's all. You're not doing it for you. The receiver, it's their job, so to speak, to go as deeply into receiving with presence, with breath, and with support of the giver as they possibly can. So many people have a really, 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 really hard time receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a super way to learn how to receive and to see where your edges around receiving are, where the blocks are, where you go, oh, that's too much, stop.
Mm-hmm.
And also to learn to give feedback. That's another secret to this massage. The giver says, how's that for you? Would you like it a little harder, softer, weirder, whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like, because you can use not only your hands, but any implement that you enjoy. You can throw in a spanking if that's what they enjoy, whatever. So there's a lot of feedback, and there's a lot of breath encouragement. I don't hear enough breathing. Let's breathe together. And when people breathe together, they connect on so many more levels than just the physical. It becomes 3 levels down
Mm-hmm.
in depth. So the breath is a super important part of this.
If you're somebody that has trouble getting present, like what are those specific practices to help us get present? What is the breath that we're using in order to really be there?
Okay. I find that rather than telling somebody just to breathe, which, tends to make me want to smack somebody unless I'm really in the mood to do so. The combination of breath and touch, and I am going to a demonstration right now. So, but I'll tell you what I'm doing. I have here, this is Sausage. This is our cat in pillow form. So what I'm doing is holding a big fluffy pillow, but it's got some bounce to it. In other words, it's not just all soft. So let's say this is my human or my cat, really, because there's nothing erotic happening right now. I would touch with the heart of palm. In other words, that spot in the middle of your hand, you can kind of scratch it right now and go, oh, yeah, that's the really sensitive part right in the middle. I touch a body with that first and let the rest of my hand relax around it. I do the same thing with the other hand. And I might do that like with somebody on their tummy, on their back, kind of where their heart would be, and on their lower spine. And I would take a breath so that they can hear it. And I would wait. And I would see what the response was. I might at other times say, thank you, that was a great breath. Now, if your relationship has a power dynamic to it, I might order them to breathe or threaten to take my hands away if they don't. It can be funny.
Yeah.
You can mix styles depending on what the rest of the shape and style of your relationship is. But with that, and then I might just move my hands a little bit on the body and get them to start breathing, and then maybe say, breathe into my hand. Thank you. I say thank you so that for two reasons. I say thank you because it gives me something to say other than, oh, fuck, I should have known that, which we all do, right? And the self-criticism, which immediately makes you not present because then it's all about you. So when I say thank you, they get honored for naming their desire. So they'll do it again. So I'll get better feedback. And it gives me something positive to say to myself. So thank you.
And you're saying thank you when you're asking for feedback from them and they respond with
And
it.
they respond, thank you.
And then you say thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you for that.
when I get a response, whether it's the breath I asked for or they've asked me harder, softer, my automatic response is thank you.
Yeah.
And if they're asking me to do something I can't do because my shoulder hurts or whatever, I'll say, sorry, can't do that. Bad shoulder. What else would you like?
Okay.
That
I don't, as a giver, I don't sacrifice myself on the altar of their pleasure.
right.
That's an important distinction.
There's so many variations. I love that you brought in that we can make this a little kinkier. We could play within other like subjects of sexuality when we're just giving a massage and just like initially warming up.
There can be sex toys. Let me talk about also intentions. In my style of, I call it erotic awakening massage, and there's a huge section in my book, Urban Tantra, about erotic awakening massage. My intention is to invite someone into a prolonged period of arousal, not to just get them off. My intention is to get erotic energy moving in their whole body. That's what the breath is doing too. The breath is helping move the sexual energy that we'll raise when we get to genitals into the rest of their body. I'm inviting them into a prolonged arousal period so that the energy keeps building and building and building and building. So finally, when they do reach orgasm, whether it's a breath orgasm or a genital orgasm, because this is also good for people who are differently abled in any particular way. When they reach an orgasmic peak, whatever the definition of orgasmic peak is for them and the two of you, they can sail into an afterglow that's like a delicious drug trip / meditation. And if it's a romantic partnership and you want to join them there and hold them, that's one style. Or you can give it as a gift to somebody and just stand back and let them travel on their own. A lot of it also comes down to why do you do sex? Do you do sex to be closer to a partner? Do you do sex to be closer to God? Do you do sex for the physical? What do you get out of sex? That also is what your massage can serve and heighten and deepen.
Holy shit. Who knew?
There's a lot more here than you thought, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little deeper. I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit about setup and positioning. Like, where do you recommend giving an erotic massage and what positions tend to work best?
I really like massage tables because they save the giver's back. Pure and simple. But a kitchen table could work. A dining room table, because it would be longer, could work.
Oh, You're spread out like the dinner to be served on
Exactly.
the table.
And if you're doing a bed, I'd try to pick a firm one, and I'd make sure there was a chair there that the giver can use when much of the time, not necessarily all of the time, but yeah, I've certainly, in situations where massage tables weren't available, encouraged groups to do it like on the floor, but I hold it to really short periods of time. Because which is not very fun, but some people, I know, I've had colleagues who were sexological body workers and other sexuality professionals who do body work, who are comfortable working on the floor because they're just in incredibly good shape.
Yeah.
They're dancers usually.
I can't even kneel on the floor as anyone trying to pick something up. I can't kneel on the floor. So I couldn't imagine giving a full massage on the floor. My back, my knees, everything.
Most people would agree with you wholeheartedly. So, look around the house.
Yeah.
And how long?
Yeah.
Sorry. How long do erotic massages typically last, or like how long do they last for you?
Obviously, that depends. But to go through the one I like, the one that I'm so devoted to, whatever the style, would probably. It could be. I'm not trying to reset anybody's shoulder or adjust their back. Remember, so a lot of it is how much time do I want to spend in what form of arousal? Do I want to spend more time on body because it's going to take a while to get them into their body? Are genitals more important or less important? Fun, people would say, well, of course they're important. Yeah, but maybe not so much, And we'll get to that in a moment, in a little while, of why that might be. And I would say I would allow at least like an hour to 90 minutes because I really am dedicated to the afterglow.
Oh.
Even if you finish the massage in 45 minutes or even 30, if you're kind of bucketing along there, I allow at least half again as much time, at least for the afterglow, because, well, it's like if you've had a really, really, really amazing orgasm and you don't pull yourself out of it to pleasure somebody else. You see, that's the cool thing about erotic massage. You're not expected to like roll off the table and do them. It's all about you. If you're going to reciprocate, you can do that another night or afternoon or whatever. And that's really, really juicy because often people will go into like phase 1 of an erotic trance afterwards, and then it'll kick into a deeper level if they don't pull themselves out of it, especially if they've spent enough time in arousal. And I know some people out there going, oh my God, first time I tried it can't, she's like way at the advanced end. No, I'm not. I've done this with people who have never done erotic massage before. And it really is about presence and breath and simple ways to touch. Starting with the heart of palm, and there's a couple more strokes I'll share with you later.
Right. I have found that the after effects and like the positive feeling of an orgasm or great sex really can get cut short if you feel this pressure to reciprocate or pull out of your trance because you're taking too much time for yourself. Right. So if this entire practice is focusing on being the like enjoying the receiving of like pleasure and attention, yeah, you should totally embrace that afterglow because that's a whole other side of pleasure that I don't think we allow ourselves.
Ooh, there's a little trick for that too. If someone's coming out of, and you kind of go, stay there, just take the sheet and cover their face.
Oh.
If they're, they're lying on their back, by that point, usually just, is it okay if I cover your face? And people will often say yes, and you just drop it. You don't like fluff, you just drop it. And when they've had enough of it, they'll do that. Yeah. But it's like
right into their own world again.
Yeah,
totally. Beautiful. What is some more prep that we need to keep in mind if we're going into a massage session? Are there lotions? Are there ambiance? What's the
Whatever
vibe?
you want. It
Mm-hmm.
could be whatever you want. I mean, it could be massage oil, it could be soy candles, it could be wax play,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite, which I use in all my workshops, is cornstarch and corn flour in the UK and in Australia. Cornstarch, the stuff you cook with.
Uh-huh.
Getting massage with cornstarch. I didn't bring any with me tonight, but um, uh, feels like getting a massage with powdered silk.
What?
I know, it's wild.
I never would have thought of that. Like that would never
Powdered
cross my
silk.
mind.
And when you drop it from a height, like a foot above the body,
Mm-hmm.
you can see people relax where the corn flour hits their skin. It's a little bit cool, and it's like,
No way.
yeah. I mean, I'm exaggerating slightly for purposes of audio, but yeah, and it vacuums up really easily.
Mm-hmm.
And admittedly, if you're going to then mix, although we have the corn flour with you don't put a lot of oil on top of it. You can use lube and oil on the genitals, but the body has received cornstarch, corn flour.
Right. You're
It's
not making
yum,
a
yum,
loaf.
yum, yum, yum. And if you get it in your eyes and stuff, it's food. It's not not ground up rocks like talc is.
Oh,
That's a good point.
that's an excellent point.
You
Wow.
know,
Mhm.
and it really does. I mean, your partner will stand up looking like the Pillsbury Dough person. Dated reference, but it's,
I'm with you still.
but it does vacuum up really easily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She says after some decades of vacuuming
After
it
some
up.
play. That's so cool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool.
Are there any other like household ingredients or items that we wouldn't think that we could bring into the massage that would be fun and add texture or heat, cool, something else?
That's I have in Urban Tantra, I have a whole chart that's mild to wild, and it's everything from ice to again, if you're kinky, fire play, to wax, to cake frosting that somebody licks off you can be fun. It's if you're into it, but remember, it's not about the giver. It's about the receiver. So if they'd like to be fed strawberries, great, but it's not about you getting to lick frosting off your partner. It's what they think feels good. They might want to be tied to the massage table. Okay. Or blindfolded or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. So are you having these conversations before you get into it? Like asking the receiver, what are you searching for in this experience that I can bring to the table as the giver?
Yeah, it would be like, so what do you like to feel? Or first of all, it's tell me, do you have an injury? Tell me does any place hurt? Is there any place you don't want to be touched? Are there any kinds of touches you hate? Are there any kinds of touches you love? We're going to be in communication the whole time. So if I touch you in a way that doesn't feel good, just tell me, I'll stop immediately. And then anything, do you have any kind of an intention for this experience? And you don't even have to tell me what it is, but do you have something, if it would help you and help me give you that intention, please share it. But if it's something private you want to keep private, that's great too. Some people intention was that, okay, we don't need one. But yeah. And you know the person you're with somewhat,
Right.
I assume, if only from their dating profile on Tinder. So you probably have some idea what to ask them.
Right.
Do you like a hard touch? Do you like a thuddy touch? And then if they say, well, I like to be spanked. Okay. How hard with what? Oh, not so very hard and only with hands, please. Okay, great.
So there's a lot of communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
In
once
the beginning
you get
and
the
yeah.
broad outlines drawn, don't touch me here. Please touch me there. Then you're always going to be in communication with them. There is no way that I would, no matter how much somebody begged, ball gag somebody to do this if I didn't know them extremely well.
Right.
Because I don't want to. I can read a lot of cues from breath and body, sure, but I want part of this is the empowerment of receiving something you asked for, not in me, the giver, doing you.
Right.
It makes it that much more powerful when you ask for someone, somebody enthusiastically goes, absolutely. That's me beating on the cat pillow. For those who listen only.
That's such a good point, and such a reframe too about this experience and what it can really bring to you and a partner in the bedroom. I love it.
And takes a little pressure off of being the giver as well, because it's hard to be a giver sometimes because you don't always know exactly what to do, and there's a lot of pressure to just like know. So being in constant communication, talking with them before, like
it also
it's nice to have somebody tell
going,
you.
Right.
It's like they know you're really paying attention beyond the fact that they can feel it. But
Right.
now let me do two more strokes, because you just brought up, Cass, a really good point about being the giver and going, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this before. I suck at massage. You know that. So perfect question, Cass, because I think I know it was true for me, and it's true for so many people that I work with, that we think we're lousy givers. We think we don't know how to do it. We have, I've never been trained as a massage person. I've heard the script. So here's a couple of strokes that are, you can't go wrong strokes. Now, we started with the whole hand, the heart of palm touching that I told you about and showed you before. I'm doing that now on my cat pillow. And how do you know if you're touching too soft or too hard? This is always a big one. When we're scared to touch, we tend to touch lightly so we don't make a mistake. And that leads to really creepy touch.
That's super
Now,
fair.
there's intentional soft,
Really creepy.
but this is really creepy touch. Only serious masochists like that touch, in my experience, anyway. Now, there's also we've all been to like touched where it's like, I'm going to get that knot out of your muscle, and like they're pushing you through the massage table. That kind of touch. No. We don't want that either. We want to touch where you push down a little and the body pushes up. If you're watching the video, which is on YouTube, people, you can see that my hands are sort of, the pillow's pushing up to meet my hands, because this is that kind of pillow. And the body does that too. And when you get to that place where the pressure pushing down and the pressure pushing up is roughly equal, and you can feel it, you don't need to measure it, it feels like a holding. And the person you're touching goes, it feels safe. Okay. So now we're at what I call the resilient edge of resistance, that place of just not too hard, not too soft, just right. And we're touching, focusing on the center of our palm with our fingers just following along. You can glide anywhere on the body. You can do this right now on your thigh, let's say, without lifting your hands, because all I'm doing is turning my hands and my fingers just kind of follow the lead. I can go all over the body with glides, down a leg, up an arm, circles, U-shaped strokes. And as long as I stay more or less at the resilient edge of resistance and I focus on think of heart of palm as the direct connection between the center of your hand and your heart. That's another good image. You're touching someone with your heart. That also will help you be a little, give you something to think about other than how am I doing?
Right. Absolutely.
While you do all that, you are breathing. You can even touch and stroke together. Again, it gives your mind an erotically massage positive thing to do so that the I suck at this doesn't come through.
Yeah.
And when you get to touching small bits like labia and the heads of cocks, you're bringing the same resilient edge of resistance, the same presence to your touch, but obviously you're then using your fingers, but in a more conscious way because you're breathing and you're at the resilient edge of resistance.
Those strokes already made me feel relaxed. Like it seems so, I guess, easy to do, but it also feels very present, like we've been talking about, like that going to the point of resistance and then just U shapes, like you said, or circles or glides, like those.
And slow down. Nobody's ever complained that I know of about a massage being done too slowly.
Okay. That's a good tip too, because I would get
a really good tip.
Worked up in, okay, from here and then to here and then down here. So slow.
Unless you're intentionally going woo up a body and woo down a body, which can be fun, but with intention, not because you don't know what else to do.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Can we keep going into different techniques?
Yeah, well, let's move to what everybody wants to talk about. Genitals.
Perfect.
And let me give you just, again, in Urban Tantra, okay, we're at genitals. Let's take a moment here.
Okay.
Not everybody has, I call them pussies and penises because of the alliteration in my book. And that's the reason. Not everybody may have a variation of one of these things. They are the same tissue in two different molds, Jello molds. But our people for a long time have been tying gender and genitals together. And although I'm going to talk about strokes that are done on a penis and strokes that can be done on a pussy, you'll see a lot of similarity between the two. I also have a massage for gender expansive folks because the way you touch different genitals on people of different genders can either help decrease gender dysphoria or it can increase gender dysphoria. My video Transcendent Bodies, which is on my website, and you can post a link with my bio information, is a good example not only of how an erotic massage looks in practice when you are not following a script but just going with what's happening, but it's also with gender nonconforming, gender expansive people. And you'll see that what is a penis on one person is an enlarged clitoris on someone else. So if you have gender expansive partners or want to, this might be something you want to see. And if you just want to see this kind of massage in action, that's also a good video to check out. Okay, that being said, if I have something that is shaped like this, I am holding up a stuffed, fluffy penis puppet.
Penis puppet.
And there are lots of different strokes. I'm only going to give you an idea. What Joseph Kramer, because we started with penises, it was gay men, remember? He was everybody's had their genitals handled in a unconscious manner, like grab it, pull it, tug it,
like
make
a bop
it.
Yeah.
And Joseph wanted something that was more like acupuncture or acupressure. Acupressure, not
okay.
puncture.
That would be painful.
Yeah, I'm sure someone's into it.
Very true.
We're not doing it here. And he wanted the kind of conscious specific touch that you would use if you were doing acupressure on a cock. So he started with a stroke called cock shiatsu, which really is pressing very specifically, waking up the cock, he called it, going up and down the shaft to the glands, laterally, side to side, and waking it up. This is the part
And
where
just
you're
pressing?
watching the YouTube people. And all of these strokes can be done on a soft cock. That's another really cool thing. For people who don't get erections for whatever reason right now, you can still completely enjoy this massage. In fact, I don't think there's a single stroke in all the ones that I list in my book that can't be done on a soft cock. This puppet is not demonstrating that, but that's okay.
With those presses that you were just doing, is that the same kind of level of resistance that we were using before with the glides?
Great question. This is when I start going, how's this pressure? Would you like more or less? I start at what I believe is the resilient edge of resistance. I start a little lightly and a little more lightly than I think they meant. And most people with penises go, could you do that a little harder?
Okay.
But not all. And there are strokes that build a lot of energy, like this one. Hang on, I'm going to put it on the table. This one's called, obviously scrotum penis here, called Fire.
Okay.
And I'm rubbing my hands side to side. Describe it, ladies.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to start a fire with a stick.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly how you would, if you were in the woods.
This is a very high energy stroke. So you're not going to want to do that for too long on most penises because they might ejaculate. And what was our whole point? To stay in arousal as long as we could. So you want to mix that up with maybe something like twist and shout. Joseph says, as Joseph put it, you twist. I am rolling my hand, twisting the penis. He shouts. That way.
While holding the base too. So is that a key maneuver?
I'm pulling this. Let's say this is not a rock hard penis, but rather some with it's semi soft. I'm going to pull the skin down and hold it at the base of the penis so that I've got something smooth and
taut
to work with. And I'm twisting and just pulling off the glands of the penis. I can also do that with two fingers, like make a V with fingers index and middle, and twist and shout that way. This one Joseph called the corkscrew. And when he gets to the head of the penis, the glands, he says, and try to pull out the cork.
Okay.
That's a good way to visualize it. Sure does look like it.
And again, how's the pressure? Faster, slower? Are we breathing? This is a fun stroke. Let's take a big breath with this one. That sort of thing. Because the more a person breathes, the more they feel and the more energy they're building up in their genitals that will go into the rest of their body.
Okay.
You can do, what's another, I'm working on the frenum, the place where the gland, on the underside of the penis where the glands meets the shaft, and I'm doing little thumb circles. Joe actually assigned chakras to the penis going up from the root to the top. And this would have been the third eye, the gates of consciousness. So he also has another one besides thumb circles that was called Rainbow Rub. And it was putting the palm, your heart of palm, on that point in the penis and rolling up onto the top, onto the glands.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's full coverage
I'm being
right there.
really specific about where I'm touching. I'm not just going at it hoping something feels good.
Right.
For example, now let's just switch out for the sake of gender parity here. um, for strokes for pussies. Well, there are vulva strokes. Sorry, puppets. So let's define our
Puppet
areas here.
switch. Mm-hmm.
This part of the puppet is outer labia. This is inner labia. This is clitoral hood, clitoral shaft,
Oh, hello.
right there, and clitoral glands and urethral sponge. Okay?
Okay.
We got our bits.
Okay.
So you could massage, much like cock shiatsu, just the outer labia, really, really consciously. The legs of the clitoris run down into inner, especially inner labia. So when you are doing labia shiatsu, we'll call it, on the inner or outer labia, one labia at a time, and hardly any person with a pussy has ever received that much single directed intention on one labia. It's quite like, wow.
It really, yeah, I'd agree.
And for those that are just listening, it's really like gentle presses.
Yeah,
Just
thank
like
you.
it was on the penis.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And let's see. That was a vulva stroke. We said kinky, right? So some people like, these are not in any particular order. They might be if I was teaching a class, but these are just examples.
Mm-hmm.
Divine drumming, which is literally tapping on the vulva. And some people, you're not like pulling back the hood of the clit. You're not like slamming the clit, but you're starting with some gentle taps.
Mm-hmm.
And some people like it much harder. And it causes much laughter. And some people just like little taps. And you can alternate divine drumming with a breath of spring, which is gently blowing on the vulva.
Okay.
You can part the labia and blow. And closer is warmer, further away is cooler. So it's breath of spring or autumn breeze, I guess.
Those are so ethereal. Gosh. I love
You
it.
can do pussy petting, which instead of just grabbing the vulva and hoping something feels good, is like with 3 fingers, you can put one finger between inner and outer labia on one side, index finger between labias on the other side, and middle finger running up between the inner labia. And lots of lube for this one. Feels really good. Oh yeah, lube for all genitals of whatever kind they like. And that you can do little circles around the clitoris at o'clock hours, like rock around the clit clock is the stroke. There is one clit clock.
Rock around the clit clock.
And you can do little circles at 12, 1, 2. And you want to tell the person what o'clock you're on, because they get to ask you later, could I have some more 2 o'clock, please?
Oh.
Okay.
And it's a great
good
way
reference
for
point.
somebody to discover what spot on the clitoris, or what spots, because which o'clock feel the best. And then you can focus on it. But do you see how specific that is?
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing for body awareness.
Yeah, we're going for very specific touch, like for internal strokes, if the person receiving would like them. We have things like the doorbell. Instead of just kind of ramming around looking for something, it just, with, of course, permission and breath, because when we actually insert a finger or two, the giver doesn't go in, the receiver like lets them in, like invites them in. And once in there, there's one stroke is called the doorbell, and it is press release. What I'm doing is
Pressing
release,
up.
press release, because there's no intention that any one stroke is going to produce some amazing orgasm on its own. We're building up erotic energy. We're building up arousal. We're building up sensation. When we get there, yes, vibrators can come into play here. There's a whole lot more strokes, but there's an as you like it portion where it's like, tell me what you want more of. I'd like some 2:00 with a vibrator and a vibrating doorbell and whatever. And the reasons the strokes in my Erotic Awakening massage, again, based on Joseph and Annie's work as well, have names that are kind of silly is people remember them.
Right.
If we gave it some Latin name, where do you think we'd be? No. So everybody remembers Rock Around the Cocker. Click.
Right when you were starting one of the gentle glides, like up the vulva with a little bit inside, I don't know what my camera does, but balloons, like animated balloons, went over your screen. So if anyone can also see that, it adds to the fun and the excitement of this experience.
That was just the universe. We had nothing to do with that.
Did you see it too, Cass?
Yeah.
It was the most amazing celebration of stroke. But I am obsessed with how endless this pleasure list can be, especially when we're getting so specific into touch and pressure and when you're talking about specific points on the genitals. Like, it's just so fun and discovery based, but also, I don't know, it's awesome.
And you don't have to go to the book and memorize all the strokes. Right. Go to the book and with your partner and look at them and say, you know what? I want to try 1, 2, and 3 and 4. That's all. That's, and it's something like those. It doesn't have to be just so that you've got something simple to work with. It's not hard. It's not complicated. When I teach this because mostly when I teach this in a class, it isn't about, now, how was that twist and shout? Was that a C+ or an A-? No. How conscious was it? Was it accompanied by breath? Did it feel good? Did it give you another way to touch that you hadn't thought of before, to help somebody reach a place of pleasure that you hadn't thought? That's all they're for. So we can't get lost in the Virgo weeds, but the Virgos in the audience are going, oh, yeah, we can. And the Tyrians are going, just give it all to me. But it's a place to start, and you pick the things that you go, oh, right, if I had that, I would feel really good as a giver. Oh, if I could receive that, wow, that would be wild. I've never had that before. I wonder what that feels like. That's what we're going for. And then, and my video, Transcendent Body, shows that ultimately it's all just a creative dance once you have a few basics down and you kind of know how this particular stroke tends to make people feel in general, and not in specific, but this is an energy building stroke. This is a cooling down stroke. This often makes people laugh, whatever. It just gives you a repertory, and then it's all what is going on your massage table, your bed, your dining room table that day. And it's like with anything. Once you know how to do something, you throw the rules out the window because you just know how to do that.
Totally.
I love that you've given us so many what feels like simple ingredients that we can use. They're not overwhelming. I don't feel like, oh my God, how am I actually going to give an erotic massage? It feels like you gave us a really good base that we can build off of on our own, which I really appreciate.
Good. That was
one
great.
question that Perfect. One question that I had though was, are we generally like, how long do you recommend, and obviously it's going to depend on the person, but how long do you recommend spending on the general body before moving to the genitals?
As you might expect, it's not so much a matter of time as it is about, again, what's happening on your table. Some people, for example, they might be kind of, for whatever reason, they're receiving that day might look like some hands on heart and back, or breasts and belly, and you might turn your hand downward and just be holding their vulva and their heart, and they may burst into tears and you might be finished.
Okay.
That could happen. Sometimes you see somebody get really into it and you're doing their back and you're playing with their bum, whatever, and they're like, oh, and you just want to say, do you want to roll over? And they're like, yes. And then that's going to lead to genital touch sooner and probably more of it than in other cases where you can tell something's happening very slowly and deeply. And you might not be going to do half of what you thought you were going to do tonight. And somebody's still going to have a profound experience or a giggly experience. I've seen people burst into giggles and it became just one long giggle-gasm and we were done. We got what we came for.
Right.
And that's what's also cool. The more we get to practice like this, the more that we get as givers to witness, the better lovers we become. The more we learn to receive, the better lovers we become. And the more we realize that sex is so vast and the possibilities are so endless. And erotic massage gives us permission to go to those places that other kinds of sexual relating often do not.
You sold me. I'm obsessed. I can't thank you enough for all of the details, and like you went in such a beautiful like sequence timeline of how to really get into erotic massage. But is there anything we didn't ask that would be great to note for intro into erotic massage?
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
We love that reminder.
Always a great reminder for us. Love it.
Especially since often we turn to erotic massage when some other kind of sex isn't possible. And that's a time where we might have lost the it's supposed to be fun part. And sex, in my experience, is really, really, really healing, that kind of fun, that kind of pleasure. So yeah, it's supposed to be fun.
Perfect note to end on. Where can our listeners continue learning from you, connecting with you after this episode?
Just go to barbaracarrellas.com. That's with 2 R's and 2 L's, CARRELLAS. Check out my book, Urban Tantra. There's a big section in it on this topic and on breath and what breath can do. I feel I gave breath just a slightly short shrift in this talk, so I'm going to say it now. Breathe more.
Yeah.
So barbaracarrellas.com, and pretty much it's all there, including Transcending Bodies, the erotic massage video that you might be interested in.